The discovery. Dr. Zix 427, the Galactic Council's leading xenoanthropologist, stared at her holographic display with all four of her optical sensors dilated in disbelief. She had triple-checked the data, yet the numbers remained unchanged. According to her research, humans had developed more distinct combat styles in their brief history than all other known spacefaring species combined, and by several orders of magnitude. Computer, verify historical accuracy of Earth Combat System database. She chittered, her mandibles clicking rapidly with nervous energy. Verification complete. Database accuracy confirmed with 99.7% certainty. The AI responded in its characteristically neutral tone. Zix 427's outer carapace shifted from its usual scholarly green to a troubled violet. This discovery would upend centuries of established theory about species development and combat evolution. Every other known civilization had followed a predictable pattern. Develop a handful of efficient combat methods, refine them over centuries, and eventually abandon most physical combat in favor of technological warfare. But humans, they had thousands of distinct martial arts styles, and they weren't just preserving them. They were actively creating new ones, even in this age of energy weapons and neural disruptors. The xenoanthropologist initiated an urgent communication to the High Council. Within moments, Council member Vreen's holographic form materialized in her laboratory, their crystalline structure refracting light in patterns that indicated mild annoyance at the interruption. This had better be important, Doctor. Vreen's thoughts resonated directly into Zix 427's mind. Counselor, I've discovered something about humans that requires immediate attention, she began, her carapace now pulsing with excited yellow patterns. They've developed more martial arts styles than exist in the entire known galaxy, and they're still creating more. Vreen's crystalline form clouded momentarily with confusion. Impossible. No species would waste resources on developing redundant combat methods. 1 or 2 efficient systems are sufficient. That's exactly why this is so significant, Zix 427 continued, projecting a complex holographic display of Earth's martial arts evolution. Look at this timeline. They didn't just develop these styles for practical combat. They created them for art, for spiritual growth, for cultural expression. Some humans even develop new styles simply to prove they can. The display showed hundreds of branching lines, each representing a different martial arts style. Some emerged from practical warfare, others from dance, meditation, or even everyday movements. The sheer diversity was staggering. This one, she highlighted a particular branch, was developed by watching how plants move in the wind. This one was inspired by the movements of cooking. And this one was created by a human who wanted to fight while pretending to be intoxicated. Vreen's crystalline structure vibrated with what might have been concern. Are you suggesting they create combat styles for entertainment? Not just entertainment. Zix 427's carapace shifted to a deep blue of scholarly excitement. They turned everything into a martial art. Everything. They have styles for zero gravity, styles that incorporate quantum probability, styles based on mathematical principles we haven't even fully grasped yet. She pulled up another display, this one showing humans of various ages practicing in dojos, parks, and specialized training facilities. Look at their faces, Counselor. They're not training for war. They're celebrating their capacity to learn, to adapt, to create. Vreen was silent for a long moment, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns that suggested deep thought. How many styles have they developed in total? That's the most remarkable part. Zix 427's carapace pulsed with intensity. We don't know. Every time we think we've cataloged them all, we discover more. Some are passed down in secret, others are being created as we speak. The database grows almost daily. This requires further investigation. Vreen decided, their form becoming more ordered and formal. Prepare a full presentation for the High Council. And, Doctor, Yes, counselor. Include visual demonstrations. I suspect many will find this difficult to believe without direct evidence. As Vreen's hologram faded, Zix 427 turned back to her research, her carapace now glowing with anticipation. She had spent her career studying the martial traditions of various species, but this was something entirely new. Humans hadn't just developed ways to fight. They had turned combat itself into an art form, a science, a philosophy, and sometimes even a form of play. The implications were staggering. A species that could turn anything into a martial art was a species that could adapt to any challenge, that could see potential where others saw limitations. As she began preparing her presentation, Zix 427 couldn't help but wonder, what else might humans be capable of that the galaxy had yet to discover? The demonstration, the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, hummed with anticipation. Representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations had gathered for what promised to be an unprecedented demonstration. At the center of the chamber stood Sarah Chen, Earth's chosen representative, looking remarkably calm for someone about to perform before the most powerful beings in known space. Ambassador Krill of the Meridian Empire leaned forward, his crystalline form catching the light. "We understand you're qualified in multiple Earth combat styles." 47 of them, Sarah replied with a slight smile. "Though I'd consider myself truly proficient in only about 12. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Even Dr. Zix 427, standing at her observation post, felt her carapace ripple with surprise. Her research hadn't indicated that individual humans commonly mastered multiple styles. And these 12 styles, continued Ambassador Krill, they serve different purposes. Sarah nodded, moving to the demonstration area. "Perhaps it's better if I show you." Computer, Training Scenario 1. The chamber's holographic systems activated, creating a series of combat challenges. Sarah began with what appeared to be a simple defensive stance, but as the first holographic attacker approached, her movement style shifted completely. She flowed around the attack like water, redirecting the force with minimal effort. "This is Aikido," she explained while moving, based on the principle of using an attacker's energy against them. Its founder was inspired by watching water erode rocks, gentle, persistent, and ultimately irresistible. Without warning, her style transformed. When the next attacker struck, she responded with sharp, precise strikes that targeted specific points on the body. Wing Chun, developed by a Buddhist nun who believed that precision could overcome raw power. The council watched in fascination as Sarah cycled through style after style. Each one was distinctly different, yet she transitioned between them seamlessly. Some movements were hard and direct, others fluid and circular. Some seemed to defy gravity, while others appeared deceptively simple. "Impossible," declared Representative Tizor of the Arcturian Confederation, their bioluminescent patterns flashing with skepticism. "No combat system can be effective if it's constantly changing. There must be confusion, hesitation." Sarah paused, turning to address Tizor directly. "That's where you're wrong, Representative. The diversity isn't a weakness. It's our greatest strength." Computer, maximum difficulty. The chamber suddenly filled with multiple attackers, each using different combat styles from across the galaxy. Sarah's response was immediate and stunning. She flowed between styles like a composer mixing musical notes, each movement perfectly adapted to the situation. A kick from capoeira flowed into a judo throw, which transitioned into a Wing Chun combination, all while incorporating movements that many council members had never seen before. "Notice," Dr. Zix 427 commented, her carapace pulsing with academic excitement, "how she's not just switching between styles. She's creating new combinations in real time. This is what makes human martial arts truly unique." Sarah finished the demonstration with a move that seemed to combine 3 different styles simultaneously, leaving the holographic attackers disabled. The chamber fell silent. "But why?" asked Ambassador Krill, their crystalline form showing patterns of genuine curiosity. Why develop so many different ways to fight? Sarah took a moment to catch her breath. Because we realized early on that there's no such thing as a perfect fighting style. Every situation is different. Every opponent is different. Instead of trying to find one perfect answer, we decided to explore all possible answers. She gestured to the space around her. These styles aren't just about fighting. They're about understanding. Each one teaches us something different about movement, about physics, about ourselves. Some styles focus on power, others on speed or precision. Some teach us to be like stone, unmovable. Others teach us to be like wind, everywhere and nowhere. Dr. Zix 427 stepped forward, her carapace now a deep blue of revelation. It's not just combat training, is it? It's a form of physical philosophy. Sarah smiled. Exactly. Every martial art carries its own wisdom, its own way of looking at the world. By learning multiple styles, we learn multiple ways of solving problems. We learn that there's always another approach, always another way. The implications of this statement rippled through the council chamber like a shockwave. A species that had developed thousands of different approaches to something as fundamental as combat would naturally apply that same innovative thinking to every challenge they encountered. Ambassador Krill's crystalline form shifted to a pattern that indicated deep thought. And these styles, they continue to evolve. Always, Sarah replied. Even now, someone somewhere is probably creating a new style or combining existing ones in ways never seen before. That's another thing martial arts taught us. There's always more to learn, always room for innovation. As the council members digested this information, Dr. Zix 427 noticed that her initial research had barely scratched the surface. It wasn't just the number of styles that made human martial arts unique. It was their approach to creation and innovation itself. Each style was a testament to human creativity, adaptability, and their relentless drive to explore new possibilities. The demonstration had raised more questions than it answered, and the council was about to discover that this was just the beginning of their journey to understand humanity's martial arts, and by extension, humanity itself. The challenge. Theory and demonstration are one thing. General Karzak rumbled, his massive exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber's lights. But real combat is another matter entirely. The Thoraxian military leader rose from his seat, causing several nearby delegates to shift uncomfortably. The Thoraxians were known throughout the galaxy as master warriors, having evolved from apex predators on a death world. Sarah Chen remained calm, though Dr. Zix 427 noticed a subtle shift in her stance. The xenoanthropologist's carapace flickered with concern. This wasn't part of the planned presentation. "What are you proposing, General?" Ambassador Krill asked, their crystalline form displaying patterns of caution. "A series of practical trials," Karzak declared. "Let's see how these human styles fare against real combat techniques developed across the galaxy. I volunteer my own elite guards as the first challengers." The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Such a challenge was unprecedented, but so was this entire situation. After a moment of deliberation, the High Council agreed, with certain safety protocols in place. "I accept," Sarah said quietly, "on one condition. Each challenge must be approached with a different human martial arts style. No repeats." Karzak's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Agreed. Though I doubt you'll last long enough to need more than one." The first challenge began immediately. A Thoraxian warrior, nearly twice Sarah's size, entered the designated combat area. His exoskeleton was enhanced with the latest combat modifications, and his natural weapons, razor-sharp claws and armored limbs, had been carefully honed. Sarah faced him, her expression serene. "This first style," she announced to the council, "is Aikido." What followed left the chamber in stunned silence. The Thoraxian warrior attacked with devastating force, but Sarah moved like smoke through his strikes. Each powerful blow was redirected, each charge turned against itself. The warrior found himself repeatedly thrown off balance, his own strength and mass becoming his greatest weaknesses. Fascinating, Dr. Zix 427 commented, her carapace pulsing with academic excitement. She's using principles of circular motion to neutralize superior force. The next challenger was a Velotian, a species known for their incredible speed and precision. Sarah switched to Wing Chun, using economic movements and sophisticated angles to control the space between them. The Velotian's speed advantage was nullified by Sarah's ability to occupy and control critical striking zones. Challenge after challenge came, and with each one, Sarah demonstrated a different style. Against a quantum phase warrior, she used drunken boxing, her unpredictable movements making it impossible for them to calculate her next position. Against a gravitational master from the Centauri systems, she employed capoeira, turning the manipulation of gravity into a dance of kicks and acrobatic movements. Impossible, General Karzak muttered as his fifth warrior left the combat area, thoroughly outmaneuvered by a style Sarah had called Systema. These cannot be formal combat systems. There's too much adaptation. That's exactly the point, Sarah explained, barely winded despite the consecutive matches. Human martial arts aren't just about following fixed patterns. They're about understanding principles and applying them creatively. Each style teaches different principles, different ways of seeing and solving problems. Ambassador Tizur's bioluminescence flickered with sudden understanding. You're not just switching techniques, you're switching entire paradigms of combat. More than that, Dr. Zix 427 interjected, her carapace now a deep blue of revelation. Each style represents a different way of thinking, a different approach to overcoming challenges. The humans haven't just created combat systems, they've developed multiple frameworks for understanding and interacting with reality itself. The final challenge came from an unexpected source. A Mindweaver of the Ethereal Collective stepped forward, their translucent form shimmering with psychic energy. Perhaps, they suggested, we should test how these physical arts fare against mental combat. Sarah's response surprised everyone. For this, she said, I'll demonstrate Tai Chi, a style that begins with the mind and extends outward. What followed wasn't so much a fight as a dance of wills. The Mindweaver's psychic probes met with something unexpected. A mind that moved like water, flowing around attempts to control it while maintaining perfect balance. Sarah's physical movements mirrored her mental state, each gesture expressing both defense and attack, resistance and acceptance. When it was over, the Mindweaver bowed deeply. We have gravely misunderstood human combat arts, they announced to the council. These are not mere fighting systems. They are complete philosophies of interaction with reality, expressed through movement. General Karzak's earlier skepticism had been replaced with a different kind of concern. A species with this many ways of approaching combat has that many ways of approaching everything, Ambassador Krill finished, their crystalline form displaying patterns of both awe and apprehension. As the council chamber buzzed with discussion, Dr. Zix 427 realized they were all missing a crucial point. The true significance wasn't in how many different martial arts humans had developed. It was in the fact that they never stopped developing more. Each new challenge, each new situation, was an opportunity for innovation. The implications were staggering, and the real revelations were yet to come. The understanding. The Grand Chamber had been reconfigured for an emergency session of the High Council. The demonstrations and challenges had lasted well into the night by standard galactic time, but none of the representatives had left. They couldn't, not when every new revelation about human martial arts seemed to reshape their understanding of humanity itself. Dr. Zix 427 stood before the council, her carapace now a deep purple of intense concentration. The holographic displays around her showed countless data points from the day's events, each telling part of a larger story. What we witnessed today goes far beyond combat, she began. We've been asking the wrong questions. We kept wondering why humans needed so many different martial arts. The real question is, What does this tendency to create multiple solutions tell us about human nature? Ambassador Krill's crystalline form shifted in a pattern indicating deep thought. They seem to treat limitations as challenges to be overcome rather than accepted. Exactly, Sarah Chen added, now seated among the observers. When we encounter a problem, we don't just look for a solution. We look for all possible solutions. Then we usually try to find even more. The Mindweaver, who had participated in the challenges, floated forward, their form rippling with insight. During our mental exchange, I sensed something remarkable. When humans practice these arts, they aren't just learning to fight. They're exploring the very nature of conflict, movement, and adaptation itself. Dr. Zix 427 activated a new holographic display, showing various human martial arts being practiced across Earth. Look at these training facilities. What do you see? They're teaching children, General Karzak noted, his earlier hostility replaced with fascination, and elderly humans, and humans with physical limitations. Because it's not about creating warriors, Sarah explained. These arts are about self-discovery, about understanding yourself and your relationship with the world around you. Each style offers a different perspective, a different way of moving through space and time. The display shifted to show various martial arts being applied in non-combat situations, astronauts using Aikido principles in zero gravity, architects incorporating Bagua concepts into building design, surgeons applying the precision of Wing Chun to their procedures. They've taken principles designed for combat and applied them to everything. Ambassador Tizor observed, their bioluminescence pulsing with realization. Now you're beginning to understand, Dr. Zix 427 said, her carapace shifting to an excited yellow. Humans don't just adapt to their environment. They create new ways of interacting with it. Each martial art represents a different framework for problem solving, a different way of seeing and engaging with the world. A quantum phase representative spoke up, their form flickering between states. During the challenges, we noticed something extraordinary. The human didn't just switch between styles. She adapted them in real time, creating new combinations we couldn't predict. Innovation isn't just something humans do, Sarah responded. It's what we are. Every martial art started because someone looked at the world differently and asked, what if? Then they tested their ideas, refined them, shared them with others who added their own insights. Dr. Zix 427 brought up another display, this one showing the exponential growth of human martial arts over time. And here's the most crucial point, they never stop. Even now, with all these existing styles, humans continue to create new ones. They see this abundance of options not as redundancy, but as wealth of knowledge to build upon. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. A species that approached combat this way would approach everything this way. Technology, diplomacy, art, science. Every problem would be an opportunity for multiple solutions, every limitation a challenge to transcend. There's something else, the Mindweaver added, their form pulsing with newfound understanding. In our mental exchange, I sensed no fear of failure in the human's mind. When trying new approaches, humans seem to view failure not as an end, but as another form of discovery. Ambassador Krill's crystalline structure refracted light in complex patterns of realization. So when we thought we were observing their combat evolution, we were actually seeing their problem-solving evolution, Dr. Zix 427 finished. Each martial art is a physical manifestation of human creativity, adaptability, and determination. They don't just solve problems. They explore every possible way a problem could be solved, then look for more. The implications were staggering. The council had been concerned about human martial arts from a military perspective, but the truth was far more profound. They weren't just seeing how humans fought. They were seeing how humans thought, how they approached challenges, how they viewed possibility itself. As the council members discussed among themselves, Sarah caught Dr. Zix 427's eye and smiled slightly. The xenoanthropologist's carapace flickered with understanding. They both knew this was just the beginning. The real revolution in galactic thinking was yet to come, and it would change everything. The revolution. 3 standard months after the historic demonstrations, the Galactic Council convened for what would become known as the Paradigm Summit. The chamber, once a symbol of established order, now hummed with an energy of transformation. Representatives from every spacefaring civilization had gathered not just to discuss human martial arts, but to completely reassess their understanding of human potential. Ambassador Krill's crystalline form shimmered with formal patterns as they addressed the assembly. When we first discovered humans' countless martial arts, we thought we were seeing redundancy. Instead, we were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history: the systematic exploration of possibility itself. Dr. Zix 427, her carapace now bearing the distinguished markings of her newly established Department of Human Innovation Studies, activated a holographic display. It showed various scenes from across the galaxy. Thoraxian warriors incorporating fluid movements into their traditionally rigid combat forms, Velotian engineers applying martial arts principles to spacecraft design, even quantum phase beings studying human meditation techniques to enhance their phase-shifting abilities. The revolution has already begun, she announced, her carapace pulsing with academic excitement. In just 3 months, the study of human martial arts has led to breakthroughs in fields ranging from architecture to zero-gravity agriculture. But more importantly, it has taught us a new way of thinking. Sarah Chen, now serving as Earth's official innovation ambassador, stepped forward. What you're seeing isn't just the adoption of human martial arts. It's the beginning of understanding the human approach to problem solving. We don't just look for the best solution. We explore every possible solution, then try to imagine new ones. The Mindweaver, who had challenged Sarah months ago, floated forward, their form rippling with newfound wisdom. We have discovered that human martial arts are not just about combat. They are physical metaphors for approaching any challenge. When humans developed thousands of ways to fight, they were actually developing thousands of ways to think. General Karzak, who had once viewed human martial arts with skepticism, now stood as one of their strongest advocates. My warriors have begun training in multiple styles, not to become better fighters, but to become better problem solvers. The results have been revolutionary. The holographic display shifted to show new hybrid training centers sprouting up across the galaxy. In these facilities, beings from different species work together, sharing their unique perspectives and abilities, creating new combinations that would have been unthinkable months ago. But the most significant change, Dr. Zix 427 continued, is in how we view limitation itself. Humans have shown us that constraints are not endpoints. They are invitations to innovate. Ambassador Tizor's bioluminescence pulsed with agreement. When faced with a locked door, most species would look for the key. Humans, it seems, would develop 100 different ways to pass through, around, or transcend the door entirely, then keep looking for more approaches out of sheer curiosity. The display showed a new series of images: a Thoraxian martial artist moving with impossible grace, a Velotian practicing slow-motion techniques to enhance their usually lightning-fast movements, and a quantum phase being teaching a group of human children how to incorporate phase-shifting principles into their martial arts practice. We are entering a new era, Sarah declared, one where the exchange of ideas flows in all directions. Yes, we have thousands of martial arts, but each species brings its own unique perspective, its own way of moving through the universe. By combining these perspectives, we create something greater than the sum of its parts. Dr. Zix 427's carapace shifted to a deep blue of profound realization. The true revolution isn't in the techniques or even the principles. It's in the very way we approach possibility. Humans have shown us that there is always another way, always room for innovation, always potential for growth. The council chamber, once a place of careful diplomatic maneuvering, had become a crucible of transformation. Species that had been set in their ways for millennia were now eagerly exploring new possibilities. The rigid hierarchies of the past were giving way to a more fluid, adaptive approach to galactic civilization. As the session concluded, Ambassador Krill addressed Sarah privately. "We thought we were studying human martial arts, their crystalline form displaying patterns of amused revelation, but we were actually learning how to think like humans." Sarah smiled. "That's the real secret of human martial arts. They're not really about fighting at all. They're about never stopping learning, never accepting limitations, and always believing there's another way forward." And in that moment, as representatives from across the galaxy discussed new possibilities and shared insights, it became clear that this was more than a revolution in martial arts or even in problem-solving. It was a fundamental shift in how intelligent beings viewed their own potential. The galaxy had learned not just how humans fight, but how they think, how they dream, and how they imagine. And nothing would ever be quite the same again.